All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone once again to our virtual visit today. My name is Sarah and I'm a recent graduate of Berkeley. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I studied architecture while I was at Berkeley. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of you for joining us today, for tuning in to watch our virtual visit, especially because of everything that's happening in the world right now. We as a community really want you to know that we acknowledge the challenges and the pain stemming from everything going on, and we do stand with you. And I did want to invite you to read our Chancellor's message about standing together on news.berkeley.edu to learn more about how we as a community are responding and kind of what we stand for all together. And so with that, I did want to thank you again once again for joining us, and we will get started with our virtual visit today. So just some housekeeping before we begin. This virtual visit is a 40-minute presentation. It's an hour-long visit in total. And so you can feel free to type any questions that you have in the Q&A portion at the bottom of your screen. You'll notice that the chat is disabled, so anything you want us to know, just send it through that Q&A portion. We also do have a few polls that we'll be sending out through the entirety of the presentation. And that's just to give us a better idea of who we're talking to today, where you're from, things like that. So this session will be recorded, but there is a different virtual visit on our website that is available for you if you want to send it to a friend or you miss any of the information that we say today. So this is a campus overview from the student perspective, which means that there won't be any admissions or financial aid info specifically, but if you do have questions about that, we're more than happy to refer you to the right place to ask those questions. And then as always, we will end with a live Q&A portion where we will do our best to answer any questions that you send in during the presentation. So with that, I wanted to pass it along to our ambassadors today. We have Morgan and Carson. Take it away.
Hi everyone, my name is Morgan. I use the pronouns she, her, and hers, and I'm from Modesto, California in the Central Valley. I'm a rising junior, so I'm about to go into my third year, and I'm double majoring in history and political science. As for things that I'm involved in on campus, I am the assistant company manager of Ballet Company of Berkeley. I'm a member of Phi Alpha Delta, which is a pre-law fraternity. I was a Golden Bear orientation leader, and then on the side, I have done some freelance writing through book reviews and other fun things like that.
Hi guys, my name is Carson. I use the she, her, hers pronouns. I am from San Diego, California, and I'm a rising sophomore, so I just finished my first year at Cal. I'm majoring in nutritional sciences, and then besides being a campus ambassador, I'm also on the Cal Women's Club water polo team. And so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So first of all, I just wanted to say welcome to UC Berkeley, and you're gonna see a poll popping up kind of asking, who are you? So please fill that out so we kind of know who we're talking to. And so on the screen here, I'm just going to kind of tell you about some of the pictures. So on the top left-hand corner, you can see our Cal football players going on to Memorial Stadium, which is our football stadium on campus. On the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the 150 Ws. So this year, we're actually celebrating 150 years of women being accepted into Berkeley. So kind of throughout the year, we'll have a bunch of events going on to celebrate that. And then in the top right-hand corner, you can see some students kind of hanging out on Memorial Glade, which is a really big grassy area that a lot of people kind of will hang out at. And it looks like most of you guys are high school juniors, so welcome. I hope you enjoy our virtual visit today. And then right in the center, you can see a picture of the Campanile, our clock and bell tower. I love the Campanile, I'm kind of obsessed. But that's just a really pretty view of that. And then we're gonna go into the agenda for today. So for today, what we're going to do is we're going to give you an overview of Berkeley. So we're going to talk about the history and establishment of the university, some of the campus culture, and then we'll go into academics. So we'll talk about the 5 undergraduate colleges, the 9 graduate schools, go into the structure and how the classes kind of work, housing and dining, health and safety, some student resources that we have on campus. We'll give you an insight into student life and athletics, and then at the end, some campus highlights, which I think are super fun.
Hello, I'm going to give a quick overview of our campus and its history. So first and foremost, we have history and establishment, so how our university was founded and created. It was founded in 1868 but it was actually founded prior to that with the Morrill Land Grant Act in 1862, signed by Abraham Lincoln. We have many different names that we go by. Our full name is the University of California, Berkeley, or UC Berkeley. We also go by Cal, which is more for the athletic side, as we are the first University of California school in the 9-school system. And then, of course, Berkeley, which is usually used for the academic side of our university. Our mascot is the golden bear, and our particular mascot's name is Oski, who I absolutely love. I like to think of him as kind of a grandpa bear in his big cozy sweater. And we are a fairly large campus. We have approximately 30,000 undergraduate students and 11,000 graduate students. Here are some images depicting our beautiful campus. On the left there, we have a picture of Sather Gate, which actually has been memorialized in several movies, including Monsters University, in which they took inspiration from it. And Pixar is actually just a few minutes down the hill at Emeryville from Berkeley, and I've actually been able to visit it. So it's really cool to think that we've inspired some famous movies. That middle picture there is Sturdy the Bear. He's one of our 27 bear statues that we have on campus. Great places to go and take some fun pictures. And up in the upper right, we have our seal, which is actually, dun dun dun, cursed. So the myth goes that if you were to step on it, you'd be doomed to fail all of your classes. So if you were walking around on campus, you'd see most students trying to avoid it. And then in the lower right there, we have our beloved Oski giving us a fun thumbs up. As for campus culture, we are a university of change makers. We are all passionate about what we are studying and especially what we believe in. And this really took hold in the mid-late 1960s, with the free speech movement in the fall of 1964 into the spring of 1965, which you can see depicted on the image there, where students on the campus wanted to talk about the civil rights movement, but they were slightly censored by the campus administration. So they protested, they made deals with the administration, and now we can say whatever we'd like on campus, and there's actually a space dedicated for it on Sproul Plaza and at the Mario Savio steps in front of Sproul Hall, which is one of our main administration buildings. A lot of students at Berkeley are also leaders, so they take charge in what they believe in. They want to change the status quo, change the world for the better, basically. And a lot of us are entrepreneurs. We want to start our own business. We want to create things. We want to innovate. And another core thing about Berkeley is its community. We all care about each other. We want to build a good atmosphere for all students to thrive with compassion, passion, and of course, emphasis on social justice, as well as diversity and excellence. Here are some photos demonstrating that. So on the upper left, we have a protest, students demonstrating the right to free speech. In the center, we have some research going on, and research is a very important part of our university. We are a research university, so it's a facet of literally every department on campus, from biology to history. On the upper right there, we have a picture of our pal Oski with the rally committee. And back down on the lower left, we have a picture of our noon rallies that happen every Friday at noon during football season. So it's a lot of fun to walk outside of class. Maybe you're stressed for midterms, then you see, look, the band, the cheerleaders, you get a high five from Oski, amazing pick-me-up and a great source of school spirit. On the middle and the lower section, we have another example of entrepreneurship, creativity, innovation. And then finally, on the lower right, we have a celebration of our Campanelli's 100th anniversary, where we had some trapeze artists basically go down the side. I knew I wasn't there, but I have seen the videos on YouTube, and they are really amazing.
I totally agree with that, Morgan. I like the YouTube videos of the Bandaloop are just so cool. So next we're going to talk about academics. So you're going to see another poll pop up on your screen, kind of asking what you're interested in, so we can kind of try and better tailor the tour to what you guys want to know about. To start off, we're going to talk about the undergraduate colleges. So we have 5 undergraduate colleges: the College of Letters and Science, which is kind of the largest one, the Rausser College of Natural Resources, that's my personal favorite because that's my college, the College of Environmental Design, the College of Chemistry, and the College of Engineering. And then just a little note about like transferring between colleges. So it is possible to transfer between colleges. Some are definitely easier to transfer to than others, like the College of Chemistry and the College of Engineering are a little bit more difficult to transfer into. So I recommend when you apply, if you want to do one of those colleges, apply directly to them. It is possible to switch in, it's just a little more difficult. And it looks like we have a lot of people interested in engineering, a lot of sciences. Awesome, very cool. All right, and yeah, and then we're gonna go on to College of Letters and Sciences.
I'm going to talk about the College of Letters and Science, which is the college that I belong to. Both of my majors are found within it, and a lot of students on campus also are found within it because it has 3/4 of our undergraduate population. So it has a huge range of different majors that you can choose from within the College of Letters and Science, within the 5 divisions shown on the screen there. So arts and humanities, biological sciences, mathematical and physical sciences, social sciences, and of course undergraduate studies. So this can range to things like psychology and computer science or to rhetoric and English. There's a vast array of majors that you can choose from within this college, so you'll definitely find a place for you if that's where you're interested. And the picture right there is of Dwinell Hall, so that is the home of Letters and Science, so where students like myself can pop in for some advising if they need some help choosing their classes, declaring their major. And Dwinell Hall, in a sense, has now gone online for us, which is great, so students are able to meet with their college advisors or declare their major, like I've declared majors, while in this online portion that we're having right now.
And the next college we're going to talk about is the Rouser College of Natural Resources. So this is my college. It's more filled with environmentally focused programs. So things like environmental science, economics, interdisciplinary studies, energy, forestry, biological sciences, things like that. And they're really focused on sustainability and social justice. So if you're interested in those kind of things, it's definitely a great college for you. It's also located in kind of like the northern part of campus, a little bit kind of off to the center, which is really nice, I think, because it's just really pretty and it's really peaceful. And my favorite cafe is actually like in the College of Natural Resources. So also great because I can pick up a really good meal just in between. It's my favorite one, but and then next we're going to talk about the College of Environmental Design. So that college, it's our smallest college, and it has 3 departments. So architecture, landscape architecture, and city and regional planning. And their kind of goal is to craft ecologically sustainable and resilient, prosperous and fair, healthy and beautifully built environments. So in the picture here, you can see Worcester Hall. That is kind of the home of the College of Environmental Design, and it's built in the brutalistic style. So it focuses on kind of the structure of it. It's not super flashy, and it's meant to inspire the architecture students for their own work and see that like it's not all about the flashiness. You also have to work on the structure. And really cool in there is every architecture student has their own workspace to work on things. So it's their own designated spot, which I think is super amazing to have, just your own place to work.
Our next college that we have is the College of Chemistry, which is one of the most prestigious colleges that we have, as it is ranked #1 globally. And it's a relatively small college, especially compared with my own College of Letters and Science, with about 1,000 students separated into 2 departments. So chemistry and then chemical and biomolecular engineering. And there have been some amazing discoveries from the College of Chemistry, like 16 different elements. Some of them you might have heard of, like californium or berkelium, which are named after our university. Also, Lewis dot structures, which you might have used in your chemistry classes, have been created at Berkeley by our Chem 1A professor at the time, Gilbert Lewis. So it's very exciting to think about all of the different discoveries that have happened and that can happen in the future by future students like you guys watching the tour right now.
And the next college we're going to talk about, the last undergraduate college, is the College of Engineering. So it has 7 departments: bioengineering, civil and environmental, electrical engineering, computer science, industrial engineering, operations research, material sciences, mechanical engineering, and nuclear engineering. Kind of a mouthful, but those are all the engineering programs. There's also the Management, Entrepreneurship, and Technology program, or MET, which is a really cool program for students. So basically, you apply before you go to Cal, kind of in your application, and then when you get in, you get both an engineering degree and a degree from the Haas School of Business. So it's a dual degree program, which is super exciting. So highly recommend considering that, just because you get a great engineering degree and a Hall School of Business degree all together. And next we're going to go into the graduate schools.
So we have several graduate schools on our campus because we are not just an undergraduate university, which is a great way for students to find future learning, or even if you didn't go to Cal for undergraduate. So we have the Haas School of Business, which is preeminent in its field, and it's actually the second business school established in the United States after the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania. And it's not only a graduate school, but it also has an undergraduate program which students can apply to in their sophomore year, and it has roughly a 32% acceptance rate. So you find out in March of that, usually around March of your sophomore year, and then you are entered into this wonderful hands-on program. And the Bay Area is a great place for business because it's the home of entrepreneurship. There's a lot of opportunities as Haas students are able to harness. And if you don't happen to get in the Haas School of Business, no biggie. A lot of the prerequisites are very similar to that of the economics degree. And I've also had friends who've gone into political economy. We have School of Education Information, which is also our newest graduate school. Berkeley Law, which is a law school. I'm pre-law, so hopefully someday. We also have Social Welfare, Optometry, which is great if you wear glasses like me, because you can go there, and if you have the Student Health Insurance Plan, which we'll be touching on a little bit later, you can actually get a pair of glasses for free for up to $250 worth of frames. So you don't need to go all the way back home to get your eyes checked, or if maybe you're clumsy, you sit on your glasses or something like that, you can get a new pair. We also have journalism, public health, and public policy.
So next we're going to talk about the academic structure and class sizes. So we are a large university. Like Morgan said earlier, we have over 30,000 undergraduate students. And in the picture, you can see Wheeler Auditorium, which is our largest lecture hall. And I know it might be a little daunting to see classes with a few hundred students. Believe me, I know I've definitely walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But don't worry, it's really manageable, and it seems a lot scarier than it actually is. So for these large lecture halls, what will happen, so you'll go to lecture with a few hundred students for those under division kind of prereq courses, and then you'll also have sections or discussion groups. So then you'll go to discussion section as well, and those have around 30 students, and they're led by a graduate student instructor or a GSI. And the graduate student instructors are really great. They really know what they're talking about. They're all studying something in the field, the same field as the class you're taking it in. And they also have office hours. So you can ask your questions in lecture, you can ask your questions in discussions, you can ask your questions in your professor's office hours or your GSI's office hours. And then, so that's kind of helps you manage the large lecture sizes. But despite that we have those large lectures, our class size is really about 18:1 for the student faculty ratio. And then 85% of our classes are actually fewer than 50 students. So although you will have those larger lectures for prerequisite classes, once you go in through your years, your classes will get a lot smaller. And even my first semester, I had a class that was only 17 people. So it's not all 100 students. And for additional help, there's also the Student Learning Center, or the SLC, and they offer free tutoring for students on pretty much every subject. So you can go in and get help with your math homework or your physics homework. They'll read your essays and edit them for your class. They'll even do like midterm and final review sessions. So I know for my sociology class, I went in for a midterm review, and it was like 15 people from my class, and we all kind of talked about the different discussions and the study guides and different authors and things like that.
I'm going to talk a little bit about housing and dining, but first we have a poll question for you. So where are you joining us from? Where are you from? So go ahead and answer that question for us. So if you are a first-year student, there are several housing options that you can have. We have the units 1, 2, and 3, which unit 2 is shown in the picture right there. And those are on the south side of campus and are high-rise, usually with lounges every other floor and usually doubles or triples. However, this fall, if you'd like to look at the chancellor's message from yesterday, there will be modified housing options due to the coronavirus. So go ahead and check that out if you're interested interested. We also have Clark Kerr, which is about 10 to 15 minutes away from campus, but it's very spread out. Usually the rooms are a little bit larger. Blackwell Hall, which is my favorite because I'm a little biased. I lived there during my freshman year, but it's actually our newest residence facility. So my first year on campus was also the first year that students could live there, which was really great because it had things like ping pong and pool tables. There was movie lounges that I could bring my friends over to, and we'd watch movies on Friday nights, laundry on your floor. It was a really great place to live. We also have Foothill, which is at the foot of the hill up on the north side of campus, as well as Stern, which is an all-female identifying dorm. So the poll results appear to be in, and a lot of people are coming from the East Coast. So welcome to virtual California. For housing and dining continuing, freshmen do get priority for their housing. So you can get any room, any location. You have to put that as your 5th option when filling out the housing application. So the first one you might want to put, I want that double in Blackwell. And the second one you might say, a triple in Clark Kerr. As long as you put for the last one, any room, any location, you're gonna have first preference for your housing to get housing in general. There are also resources given to students, first-year students who come to campus and need a little help adjusting. We have residential assistants or RAs who live on the floor. These are generally students, upperclassmen, who help you if you have any problems, often have social activities. Theme programs, so we have 6 theme programs ranging from Women in STEM to the African American theme program, where students who come from similar backgrounds, experiences, or interests are able to live together, take a seminar together, and it's a great way to make friends who have some similarities to you and also meet other people who you might not have met before. All of the dorms have security resources, so they have 3-point security. You come in, if it's at night, you have to stop by the front desk and hit your student ID card. You have to have your key card for the elevators or stairs, and then of course to get into your room you have to use your key card or your key. And there are, of course, common areas as well. So every floor, depending on what dorm you live in, has some place where you can hang out with your friends, you can study. There are tables, comfortable couches. Some of them have TVs that you can use. And also several of the dorms have cooking areas. So if you're a big fan of cooking or baking, you can go there, have a fun baking night with your friends. And every single housing offer has a meal plan included, so you can eat at any of the dining halls on campus, not just the one that's closest to where you live. So right here is shown is Crossroads Dining between units 1 and 2. They're buffet style, all you can eat, and there are several different meal plans that you can choose from that fit best to your lifestyle and eating habits. We also have housing and dining for transfers and continuing students. So if you're a prospective transfer student and you're wondering where you're going to live, there are several options for you. So we of course have campus housing. So if you are a continuing student or a transfer and you still want to live in the dorms, that's perfectly okay. The dorms are great. But we also have some affiliated properties like Garden Village and Enclave, which are more like apartment style living that's owned by the university, which is a great place to have a little bit more autonomy than you might have had in the dorms. And then there are off-campus apartments. I live in an off-campus apartment, which is a great way for me to live with my friends, have a little bit more of independence, and it's economically viable for me. We also have co-op housing or cooperative housing, and we actually have the largest cooperative system in the United States. So it's one of the ways that students can live relatively affordably. You live in a big house with a bunch of people and everyone pitches in to make food, to clean up, things like that. So it's a great way to learn to live with other people, maybe make some new friends. And then we have Greek housing with our sororities and fraternities, which I guess is kind of similar to cooperative housing, but you're living with people who are also in your Greek system. And anyone, no matter where they live, as long as they're a Berkeley student, can purchase an additional meal plan. So you're really craving that dining hall food, no problem, you can get it yourself, as long as you are a student at Berkeley, which is great.
So in Berkeley, it is a urban area. So the campus takes health and safety really seriously here on campus. So first I'm going to talk about health services. So first we have the Tang Center, as you can see in the photo here. So the Tang Center has a ton of resources for students' health, so includes urgent care, primary care, counseling, physical therapy. So the urgent care, I personally got really sick my first year, and I actually like woke up in the middle of the night and I couldn't sleep and I just wasn't feeling good. And there's actually a 24-hour nurse. So I was able to call the nurse, kind of tell her my symptoms at like 2 in the morning. And she told me, she's like, I think this is what you have. Come in tomorrow. We'll like run some tests just to make sure. And then I was able to go in the next day. I waited like 15 minutes in the waiting room. And so it's actually really fast. And I know that like urgent care that I've gone to just normally took like 3 hours. So it's actually pretty quick. And they also use the student health insurance plan, SHIP, as Morgan had mentioned. So all students are required to have an insurance plan. So the school provides SHIP. However, if you don't want to use the student school insurance plan and you want to use your own private insurance plan, that's totally okay. That's what I personally do. So you just fill out a waiver with your insurance information, and if the school says that it's about equivalent to the school one, you can just waive the student health insurance plan. And then in addition to the Tang Center, we have the Optometry Eye Center. Morgan also mentioned that about the School of Optometry. So you can go and get your eyes checked, get a pair of glasses, things like that. And then there's also Path to Care, which is a 24-hour hotline and service for students to prevent sexual assault, harassment, things like that. So, and it's all anonymous. So that's also a really great resource for students. And there's also stress relief things on campus. So there's clubs like De-Stress with Dogs. I love De-Stress with Dogs so much. I will see them around campus. The club is literally, they have dogs and they sit at a table and you walk by and you pet them. And that's the whole club. And it's amazing. And so it's really great after a midterm, you can go and just pet a dog and it's just super calming. And there's also Llama-palooza. So the week before finals, they'll bring llamas, like live llamas, to Memorial Glade and you can go and pet them. And I thought that was super amazing to me. I was mind blown. Like I can just go and pet the llama. And it wasn't even like 3 llamas. There were like 20 llamas. So you could go pet them, feed them carrots, take pictures with them. It was super amazing. So there's a ton of like health resources for students. And then the next thing that I'm going to talk about is campus safety. So we are in an urban area. And so a lot of people are kind of concerned with safety. My parents were especially. But there's lots of resources on students, and I've personally never felt unsafe on campus. So first we have the UCPD, so that's the UC Police Department. So they're there to answer any of your, any calls or any issues you may have. There's the blue light poles, which you can kind of see in the picture here, and they're all around campus. So basically, if you're in an emergency, you go to a blue light pole, you push the button, and then UCPD is on their way, and they'll know where you are, and they'll be there in a few minutes. So that's a really good thing for in case of emergencies. There's also Warn Me, so that's really good as well. So you register for Warn Me, you can get text or email, and then they'll send you like messages or emails, whichever one you signed up with, telling you if there's something going on campus, when it's resolved, stuff like that. And your parents can also sign up for it. So my parents have Warned Me, so like I'll get a text and be like, hey, we saw that like the power went out because PG&E turned off the power, and I'm like, yep, we're good, it's okay. And so that helps them a lot and kind of feeling more confident. And also for the residence halls, there's the 3-point security. So you check in when you walk in the elevator, and then also at your door. And then for night services, there's the night safety shuttle. So that's a shuttle for students, and it goes all the way around campus at like 7 p.m. till 3 a.m. And then after 3 a.m., it becomes a door-to-door service. So it'll take you from exactly wherever you are to the door of wherever you're going. And I've used the night safety shuttle a couple of times. I'm on the club water polo team, and our practices are at night. So sometimes after practice, I have to walk across campus to Foothill, and sometimes I just didn't want to walk there because it's uphill. I'm tired, and so I'll take the night safety shuttle. And there's also Bear Walk. So Bear Walk is for UCPD trained students. So you call them. The number is actually on the back of your student ID card, and then they'll come with you, walk you from wherever you are to wherever you need to go, whether that's another building on campus, a dorm, the BART station, or even your apartment like 10-15 minutes off campus. They'll walk there with you, and they're great conversationalists too. So you get to walk safe and you get a good conversation.
We have a plethora of student resources that make sure that students have the tools that they need to succeed. So all of these pertain to student development in one way or another, and a lot of them are in Cesar E. Chavez Student Center, which is also the home of the Student Learning Center, which Carson mentioned earlier. We have different resources for students of different backgrounds of experiences, whether they be transfer students who make up 20% of our student population, disabled students. There's a Gender Equity Center, Multicultural Community Center, and also development for students of Latinx, Asian Pacific American, African American, Native American students. If they want to find people who come from similar backgrounds, they need resources, things like that. We also have veteran services for students who've served in the armed forces, and then of course undocumented students program to support those students who otherwise may not get the resources that they need to succeed on our campus. We want to make sure that all of our students are safe and cared for while they're members of our university's community, and many more. Literally hundreds of resources to make sure students feel as safe and comfortable as possible on campus, no matter who they are, no matter where they came from. Everyone on our campus should have these same opportunities to succeed, to thrive, to make friends, and have an amazing college experience.
So a little bit about student life on campus. So there's 30,000 students on campus, so people are interested in a bunch of different things. So makes sense, there's a lot of clubs on campus. So we have over 1,200 clubs on campus. So ranging from pretty much anything you could really want to be interested in. And if for some reason, the club that you want doesn't exist, you can definitely start one. You fill out a couple forms, they make it really easy so you can start your own club. And for the clubs, there's a thing called Calapalooza. So at the beginning of every semester, basically all of the clubs go out in Sproul Hall and can flyer to people. And I think it's just a really cool scene to see that I kind of forgot about the day of, and I walked outside and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Some other things you can do: you can volunteer on campus, you can volunteer in the Berkeley area, you can get jobs on campus. I highly recommend becoming a campus ambassador. It is definitely the best job on campus. But you can also, if you don't want to do that, you can work other places such as the dining halls, the libraries, you can work for the recreational sports facility, things like that. Study abroad is also really common. So definitely you can study abroad. I haven't personally studied abroad yet. I'd like to, hopefully in the next year or two. And there's also stuff you can just do for fun. Just when you have time, you can go to concerts at the Greek Theater, which is right next to campus. You can go to workshops, you can go to sporting events. And for sporting events, for the D1 teams, students only have to pay for football or basketball. And all of the other sporting teams you can go to and watch for free. So that's a super fun thing to do as well. And then there's also museums on campus and a lot of hiking trails that I think a lot of people sometimes don't realize because it is an urban area. But on the north side of campus, there's a lot of nature and a lot of hiking trails as well.
So as Carson mentioned, we do have Division I sports teams of large varieties that students could go to those games and participate as members of the crowd, or you can be an athlete yourself. So if you're a Division I athlete, or you did a sport in high school, you can continue it here. So maybe you weren't, the most competitive, but you still want to have fun when you come to college. Maybe you want to play some intramural frisbee. You can absolutely do that with our club sports and our intramural and recreational sports. So with those club sports, you can compete against other schools if you play maybe basketball or softball, but don't want to do it on a rigidly competitive level. And then of course there are fun intramural and recreational sports that can be as silly as Quidditch, which is a lot of fun. I've actually tried it. It's a great thing we have on our campus. And a lot of these sports are shown in the images right there, from football to swimming to basketball. And up in the upper right corner there, we actually have a picture of our recreational sports facility, which, as Carson mentioned, students can actually work there, but it's also a great place to work out. It's our on-campus gym. You can go there, take some aerobic classes, you can take cardio dance, which is always a great time. And our football team plays in California Memorial Stadium, and we also want to make sure that all of our athletes have the resources that they need to not only succeed on the field, but also in the classroom. So we have the Simpson High Performance Center, which is a place where they can work out, but also the Athletic Study Center, where they have tutoring tailored for them, and their experiences say that you need to leave to go play in a championship game. No problem. Our academic resources will help you make sure that you still succeed in your classes. We also have Hoss Pavilion, which is where our basketball men and women's team plays, as well as our gymnastics team, the recreational sports facility, as I mentioned. And we are actually pretty good in sports. So we've competed in the Olympics many times, and we have won 207 Olympic medals, which is really crazy. It's cool to look on the Olympic screen, hopefully next summer, and we'll be able to watch and be like, whoa, that person goes to Cal. Wait, were they in my class? And then think about that is just a really awesome thing that our university has. So we don't only thrive in the academic sector of university, but also athletics, which is
Yeah, so like Morgan said, I highly recommend doing club and intramural sports as well, just because like I mentioned, I'm on the club water polo team and it's super fun, and I highly, highly recommend doing that. And then also for intramural sports, I was also on an IM dodgeball team, which is super fun. You just go and play, and every Wednesday night it was when ours played, and so it's just a really fun opportunity. And then I'm going to talk to you guys next about libraries and research. So as you can see in the picture here, a few of our libraries. So we have 24 official libraries. So in the top left, you can see the East Asian Library, top middle, the Doe Memorial Library. On the right, you can see the inside of Moffett Library. And then on the bottom middle, you can see the Hargrove Music Library. And then on the bottom left, you can see a student kind of doing some research in a library as well. So like I said, we have 24 official libraries, and within those libraries, we have over 13 million volumes of books, plus an extensive online resources. So definitely for those projects, you won't have to worry about not being able to find things for your projects. You'll definitely have tons and tons of resources. And also the libraries are a really good place to just kind of study and hang out, like especially Moffett Library. I know that one is really, really popular. There's the buzz floor, so people can kind of collaborate. The top floor is the more quiet floor. And you can also have food in that library because there's a cafe attached to it. So also make sure you check that out. If you have a long study session, you can get a snack and then go study. And then for research on campus, we are a research institution. So obviously research is a very integral part of campus. One misconception is people think that STEM has the most research, which is true. STEM, there is a lot of STEM research. Our history department actually has the most research going on at one time. And so for research, undergraduates can also be involved in research. Most go through the Undergraduate Research Apprentice Program, or URAP. So basically it's an online database. You can go on and just see all of the research that all of the faculty is doing, send an email and be like, I really love what you're doing. How can I get involved? And then they'll email you back and they'll say yes or no. And if they say no, it happens sometimes, there's tons and tons more you can look at. And, or you can just go up to your professor in class and say, hey, I looked at your research, like, do you need help with anything? Can I please be involved? And a lot of times they'll say yes. And I know another misconception I had heard a lot was like, oh, research is only for like seniors and juniors and like freshmen can't really do it. And that's definitely not true. One of my friends, he's a sophomore as well, so he's just finished his first year. He actually applied and got into 3 research labs. He actually couldn't handle doing all of them, so he just stuck with 2. So he was doing 2 separate research projects throughout the year as a freshman along with school. So it's absolutely possible for you guys to do research. And yeah, definitely available, and there's so many opportunities and ways to get involved.
And finally, we have some campus highlights. I like to emphasize that campus is one of my favorite places in the world, not only just to be, studying, getting those academic things that you need handled, but also just because it is absolutely beautiful. It is a stunning campus, and there is a lot of nature that students can go and hang out in. As Carson mentioned, a lot of us do love to hike, especially me. I'm a big hiking fan. I go a lot with my friends and my family to areas just around campus. So some of them are listed right there. So we have the fire trails, which are in the hills right behind campus. We have Strawberry Creek, which runs straight through the middle of our campus. And the myth goes that once upon a time, there were strawberries growing along the side. So on sunny days, like the one in the picture right there, you can still smell the aroma of strawberries. And I've tried it many times, have yet to succeed, but I'll keep trying. And there are hills behind campus, as I mentioned, which have great hiking paths. Tilden Regional Park is very close to our campus. You can take the Alameda County buses which are free for students to use, straight to the park. Also, San Joaquin Park is right behind our campus. You can also use the Bay Area in all its glory to find some cool hiking places. So you can use the BART system. You can go to San Francisco and hike Twin Peaks, or you could go to the other side and get to Sausalito and do some hiking. I've done both of those things, and it's a lot of fun to do with your friends, or even if you just want to go on a solo stress relieving adventure. So nature is an important part of our campus, not only because it's literally in our campus, but because it is something that a lot of students take advantage of in order to kind of get out of the academic headspace, have that calming environment, enjoy the Bay Area, because it is one of the prettiest places that you can go to college. And I'd just like to mention, you see the squirrel in the upper left. I like to think of squirrels as Berkeley's unofficial mascots. Everyone loves them. You can see them roaming around campus all the time. They're very brave. They'll go straight up to you. And I remember one year for a big game, which is our big football game against Stanford every year. We have projections on the campanile, which is, as Carson mentioned, one of our most iconic spots. And there's actually a projection of a squirrel up on the campanile. So we're big fans of nature, even our furry friends. And now we're going to move into the Q&A session.
All right, so hello everyone, I am back. Thank you, Morgan and Carson, for your wonderful words during our presentation. We have a lot of questions that we got from our attendees today, so thank you everyone for asking those. So someone asked specifically for Carson, Carson, what do you love most about the Rausser College of Natural Resources?
That's a great question. So I do love the Rausser College of Natural Resources. I tell it to all of my friends and they make fun of me. My favorite thing is probably, honestly, my advisor. So I remember I met my advisor like once for Cal Day for maybe 5 minutes, and then didn't talk to her again for a few months until I enrolled in classes. And at that time, she was currently like out on maternity leave, so it was all online. And I remember like emailing her, and she would email me back and remembered things that I had said from the first time that I met her. And also, obviously, advising across the university is great, but I absolutely love my advisor and all the advisors, just like because it's a little bit of a smaller college, everyone just really knows, they really get to know you super, super well. And so I can still talk to her about things that I talked about like almost a full year ago now.
Awesome. All right, our next one, someone asked, are there resources if I'm undeclared and don't know what I want to study? And someone else asked, when do you have to declare your major and how easy is it to change majors? So Morgan, why don't you take that one?
This is a wonderful question because I had the same questions when I was coming into Cal. So I came in and I was very interested in history, which is one of my majors, but I wasn't sure if that was a really viable major for me to have. And actually all students who come into the College of Letters and Science come in undeclared. So you don't need to know what you're going to be doing unless you're in one of those colleges that has required that you start with the major already. So for example, the College of Natural Resources that Carson is in, everyone comes in with their major, but you can of course still switch. Same applies to things like chemistry and engineering. But if you're undeclared and you want to explore, the breadth courses are a wonderful option for that. So if you're in the College of Letters and Science, you have to take 7 course breadth courses, ranging from things like historical studies to biological sciences, and it has a wide range of classes that you can take. So if you really are unsure of what you're interested in, you can just take some that sound interesting to you. You might strike gold, and then there you go. You have your major that you want. Or if you have a few majors in mind, a lot of majors, pardon me, have very similar prerequisites. So I had a friend who was debating between computer science, cognitive science, and sociology, and they actually do have some shared prerequisites. So you take some of them and you might find, hey, I'm really into this or that. And another thing that's a great resource for students who are unsure of what they want to do are freshman, sophomore seminars. So these are classes that are generally about 1 unit, and they're pretty small, 15 to 20 people. And you just learn about a topic for pass or no pass credit. So if you're interested in a topic, but you don't know if you want to take a full-on class for credit for it, it's a great experience to kind of dip your toes in, see if you enjoy it. I actually took a freshman, sophomore seminar my freshman year that was about the Supreme Court. It was called the Supreme Court critical appraisal. And it was a lot of fun. I learned so much. We just talked about our favorite court cases and justices for an hour every week, and it was a great time. And it made me realize I really like history, and oh, maybe I'm interested in pre-law. Maybe I can figure this out. As for when you need to declare your major, the general rule is by the end of your sophomore year, but it really depends on your major. So some majors, like my political science major, you have to be done with declaring by the end of your sophomore year, because all of the upper division classes, you can only get into them if you're declared. However, my history major, I don't have to declare until my spring semester of my senior year, because none of the classes are barred to people who are strictly declared in their major. So there is a lot of leeway depending what college you're in and what major you're looking towards.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for that. And then someone also asked, is the food good on campus? Carson, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, I really like this question. This was one of the questions I asked on every single tour that I went to when I was looking for what college to go to, because obviously I love food. I think most people do. So food on campus, I think is good. The dorm food, I think is good for dorm food. It's obviously still dorm food. It's not gourmet 5-star restaurant quality, I think, but it's definitely good. I mentioned earlier, there's an on-campus restaurant in the College of Natural Resources, Brown's Cafe, that I really like. They've got like a chicken panini, it's delicious. And then there's also food around campus that's delicious, very, very good. Highly recommend. I want to explore the restaurants definitely more throughout my time at Cal. And yeah, like all around campus, there's tons and tons of food places, and they're all really, really good.
Awesome. Yeah, I wanted to add specifically my favorite meal there is the lasagna. So if you're looking out for that, definitely get the lasagna. But unrelated. Another question, someone asked, what was or is your favorite residence hall and why? So Morgan, you can take that one.
I feel like I might be a little biased on this question, but I think everyone is. They're going to be like, my favorite residence hall is the one I lived in, which is absolutely my answer. So I lived in Blackwell Hall, but I can honestly say I think it's the best residence hall because I had a great experience, and it was also brand new, which was really nice for me because they had, as I mentioned before during the presentation portion of this, that they have lounges and they have really nice rooms. All of the rooms are doubles and no bunk beds. The restrooms are really new and clean. There's literally a movie theater that students can use, which I have used, and it was a lot of fun. There's also an in-house gym, so it's a really great experience. But I have had friends who lived in other dorms, and they found a greater sense of community than I think I did in Blackwell, because it is a relatively large residence hall. There's over 100 people on every floor, and if you're not really dedicated to finding friends, it might be a little bit difficult. But of course there are resources to help, like residence assistants, and of course Golden Bear orientation is a great way to make new friends. But I had a friend who lived in one of the units, and there's about 20 people on her floor, and she got close with every single person. So I like to say that every dorm has something to offer you, no matter if it's the newest one or the oldest one. It always has something special about it that will make your experience unique and worthwhile. A quick addition to this though, there are of course housing for students who are beyond freshmen, and one of my favorite ones is International House. One of my friends is an RA there, and she has a really great time, and you can live there even if you're not an international student, but you want to live with international students and learn about their lives and learn about different cultures around the world. You can either be a resident or an RA, and it's a great way to meet a bunch of new people. And iHouse, which is its nickname, is absolutely beautiful, and in my opinion has the best dining hall on campus. So I used to go there with my friend. She'd let me come in, I'd meet all her cool international friends and get to have some great food. So lots of amazing housing options all around the board.
Awesome. All right. And then someone asked our next question, how has remote learning been for you? From your perspective, has Berkeley transitioned well and offered sufficient resources? And also, is it still fun to be a student online? So Carson, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, so I think that Berkeley, for the short amount of time that they had to actually transition online, I think they transitioned really well. My classes, we still had lectures. They made it available so students in different time zones could still go to lecture. I still had my discussion sections. They were super helpful. And also one of my professors, I remember in a lecture he was talking about, it seemed he was getting more questions during lecture because of the chat function. So he actually took a couple minutes in the class, it was sociology class, and he was explaining like the sociology behind why people are actually more comfortable to ask questions through their computer versus in person. And then there's still office hours as well, so you can still go to your professor's office hours. And there's also like the discussion breakout room section. So a lot of my professors, like I'm taking summer classes right now, and my professor every class will have us break out into groups of like 4 to 6 people and talk about the reading, what we learned, kind of our thoughts, questions, critiques. And then she brings us all back, and then you can share through the chat or just with her on Zoom, like talking, what you thought and things you talked about. And so and there's definitely, I think, sufficient resources. All of my advising is online. As I know Morgan mentioned that earlier, that she could declare her major online. So that's also really it's been handled really well. And for still being fun, I think it is definitely still being fun. It's definitely hard to like not be with your friends, but I think that that's true for anyone. So I know my friends, like every Monday night we have game night. So we all log on to Zoom and we play different board games online. And so it's still definitely fun and manageable, and like I'm still connected to people.
Definitely. All right. So we're on to our next one. Someone asked, what type of internship or job opportunities are available at UC Berkeley? So Morgan, why don't you take that one?
So as we mentioned in the presentation, there are literally thousands of resources for students, and a lot of them are dedicated for finding these exact things. So internships and career opportunities. So we do have career and internship fairs throughout the year, which are great places to meet with future employers, maybe learn a little bit about what your experience working for them could be like. Also, the Career Center has advising, so you can stop in and get some advising help. They also have online advising right now, so they can have a Zoom call with you like we're having right now, and they can talk about the different things that are available to you to find those internships. Also, your college counselors are great, as well as your professors. So if you get close with the professor, sometimes they might just offer you an internship or offer you a research opportunity. So it's great to go to office hours and learn from those professors, or even GSIs, which are great resources as well. I was actually supposed to do an internship this summer. Sadly, I was not able to do so because it got canceled due to the current situation, but I was able to find my internship through kind of a combination of resources. As I mentioned before, I'm a member of a professional fraternity, so I'm in Phi Alpha Delta, which is a pre-law fraternity, and every month they have a different newsletter that goes out that talks about opportunities for students to find jobs and internships, which I know a lot of different student organizations also have. So I was able to look through there, and I found one I wanted to apply for, and I also happened to meet the employers at a career fair. So it was a great meshing of things. I had an internship, and then, well, not anymore, but at the time I had an internship and a great opportunity to do so. And right now, actually, a lot of students are able to go online for their internships, which is really great for them as well. But definitely avenues for students to find that career development that they need.
Awesome. All right. Our next one, someone asked, which library is your favorite? And stemming off of that, what are your favorite study spots on campus? So Carson, you can start with that one.
Yeah, so libraries, there's a ton of libraries on campus, and one of my personal goals is to study at each library. I'm not there yet, but I'm gonna work on it. My favorite library kind of depends on what I'm doing. So I know for like, if I need to quiet study, just like really zone in, I really like Doe Memorial Library. I think it's really pretty, and I can print my stuff there. So that's probably my favorite there. I also feel really cool because it's like really like, it's very cool looking, I think. So I feel like very like, oh, look, I'm walking into my school library that has like a bust of Athena on the top of it. And then I also really like Moffat Library for like when I'm collaborating with students. So those are probably my two favorite libraries. And then study spots, I also like studying just like on Memorial Glade, just kind of on the grass when it's nice out. I put like a little hammock out and I can take out my stuff and do work there. So that's probably my favorite.
Awesome. And then Morgan, do you have anything to add?
Yes, this is one of my favorite topics because I am a huge nerd at heart, which a lot of Cal students are, and studying is what I do for the majority of my time. So I love finding creative new study spaces. My absolute favorite is the exact same one Carson mentioned. I love Doe Memorial Library. I feel like I'm in Harry Potter when I'm inside, and that is always my life goal. But I also love to study outside, especially in the warmer fall or spring months. So one of my favorite places is called the Terrace, and there's a bunch of like stone and wood tables outside with a trellis of leaves and flowers hanging down, and it's so pretty, and there's a beautiful view of the Campanile from there. So if I'm getting a little bogged down by my work, I can look up and be like, oh, she's there, she's inspiring me. Or sometimes if you sit up there, you can kind of get a peek of the areas surrounding campus. You can even see the ocean sometimes, so it's really great. And also another outdoor place that I like to study is the UC Botanical Garden. So that is a place that's just above campus. You can either take a little bit of a hike there, or you can take a bus that we have straight up there. And there are some benches and some tables, but mostly it's just a place for people to get into nature. You can see flora and fauna from around the world there, and it's really just a gorgeous place, and it's very inspiring. So I usually go there to do my homework that I don't need my laptop there, maybe reading an assignment for class, and it just makes you feel so wonderful when you're studying, which is already one of my favorite things to do. So just a magical combination, just emphasizing the beauty of our campus.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally second everything that both of you said about those kind of great spots on campus. So I did want to, now that we're getting towards the end of our live Q&A, I wanted to ask you both kind of why Berkeley? You know, what was it about Berkeley that stood out to you in the application process and your decision-making process? And now that you're here, what's so great about Berkeley that's kind of kept you here? So Carson, you can start.
Yeah, so I applied to schools and I was like, okay, like, yeah, maybe Berkeley, they have a good program for me. Okay. And then once I got into schools, I went and visited them. So hopefully this is kind of equivalent for you guys on visiting schools. But I visited campus for Cal Day, and I walked around and I really liked it. But if those who know me, I tend to overthink things a lot. So I went back and I was deciding between schools, and I was really stressed. Like, I don't know where to go. And my parents were like, we're not going to tell you what we think. You have to decide. So I finally was like, I like Berkeley. I'm going to go to Berkeley. And I went downstairs and I told my parents, like, I'm going to go to Cal. And their response was, we know you were way happier visibly there than anywhere else. I don't know why it took you this long to figure it out. And they were super right, because I did like just feel at home there, and I feel so at home at school all the time. I really miss it a lot. And I texted my friends like literally yesterday saying like all of the things that I miss doing. We made a list to do when we get back. So it's really just, when I was there, I just really thought that it was good. And it did take me a while to figure it out, but I'm glad that I did. And it's definitely the perfect place for me.
Awesome. All right, Morgan, what about you?
I have a relatively similar experience to Carson. So I, of course, took a tour, but before that, I had a lot of misconceptions about Berkeley, just from the area that I live in, and not a ton of students that I knew had gone there. And I was like, no, I want to go far away for college. And by far away, I meant Southern California. I can't do snow. So I was like, I'm going to go way far away. I'm going to have an adventure. But then I took a tour of Cal, and it was an absolutely phenomenal tour. It was wonderful. I saw so much that I was inspired by, and just the tour guide was just one of the most amazing people I've ever met. I looked up to him so much in that one tour because he showed me everything that I could be, everything that Cal could be. So after I got in, I was ecstatic. I was so excited, but then I got a huge dose of imposter syndrome during the summer before. I was so nervous. I had no idea what it would be like. I was thinking to myself, everyone's going to be smarter than me. Everyone's going to be cooler than me. I'm never going to fit in. And I was freaking out a little bit. But once I got to campus, we had Golden Bear orientation, which was a great way to make friends. And we are hopefully I was able to make some great friends that I didn't expect from my floor, and we're still friends to this day. But I think what's most important about Cal is community. That's at the heart of our campus. And I found that pretty much immediately when I got here, not just in my dorm, but also through the student organizations that I joined. And I think that is one of the greatest things about Cal is the student organizations. We have so many that are all so unique to just our school. And I have made the best friends that I've ever had there. I grew so much confidence from those experiences. And as I mentioned before, I'm a nerd at heart. So I loved all of my classes, like absolutely loved them. I would go to office hours. I would study in the libraries all day, even if I didn't have to, because I was just so excited to be there. I would study with my friends who were just as excited about academics as I was, which was mind-blowing to me because I had never had friends like that. And I had the confidence to build on that, become the person I am today. And honestly, without that, I don't think I would ever be brave enough to public speak like this, to give a tour to you guys. So Cal is definitely the best decision that I ever made and the best opportunity for personal growth that I've ever had.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you both for your for sharing your perspective during the presentation and the Q&A. I'm sure everyone watching loved to hear it. So I just wanted to leave everyone with some ways that you can contact us. So feel free to follow us on social media at Visit UC Berkeley on Instagram and Twitter. And you can also email tour@berkeley.edu with any additional questions that you might have. We got a whole bunch of questions today, so if you didn't get one answered sufficiently, you can email us and a student campus ambassador will answer that for you. We also have our Bear Talk blog where campus ambassadors talk about anything under the moon. You know, it could be their favorite memory or best experiences at Berkeley, and you can hear directly from them. And then as always, this session was recorded, but we do have a different virtual visit available on our website if you want to share it with a friend or rewatch it or anything like that. And if you want to check out some of the amazing events that are happening this year to celebrate 150 years of women at Berkeley, feel free to visit this link, 150w.berkeley.edu, to kind of learn more about our history with women at Berkeley. And then once again, I wanted to invite you to read our Chancellor's message about standing together on news.berkeley.edu to kind of find out how we're responding to current social issues, as well as some updates from the Chancellor about what might be happening in the fall with coronavirus and learning and things like that. So with that, I wanted to invite both of our presenters back up to send you all off with a Go Bears on 3. That's kind of how we do it here. So 1, 2, 3, Go Bears!
Go Bears!
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.